Hi folks, want to do a little short video here of blossom end rot on tomatoes. As you can see, our vines are dying. There's still a fair amount of fruit on them, but we grow Roma tomatoes, and it's about the end of the season for us, and while there's some still green and some that'll still ripen and we could get some more fruit off of it, there really won't be enough at any one time to can anything else. And since I'm the only one in the family that likes tomatoes just as tomatoes, like sliced tomatoes and 2 pieces of bread, to me that's dinner. Tomato sandwich, that's dinner, a little bit of mayonnaise. But Cindy and Sarah both like tomatoes in things like sauces and lasagna and spaghetti. They don't care too much for tomatoes just as tomatoes. So everything gets canned, and there's really not enough left here at any one time to do any more canning. So we have quit watering, as you can see, and just letting the vines die. You'll also notice this is supposed to be about blossom end rot, but you'll also notice that our tomato plants are pretty close together. They're planted 18 inches apart. We do small space gardening is one name for it. Square foot gardening is another name for it. We garden real intensively as far as space because we don't have a lot of space for our garden. And because of that, we spaced our tomato plants 18 inches apart. Next year, that's going to be 2 feet. They were just a little bit too close. Our raised beds are 4 feet wide and about 25 feet long, and we crammed them in just a little bit too tight. But anyway, back to blossom end rot. Blossom end rot is a disease that affects tomatoes that can't be treated with pesticides or herbicides. They do no good. The cause of blossom end rot is lack of water or inconsistent watering and lack of calcium. And what you get is, instead of tomatoes that are developing like these, you look at the bottoms and they're nice and green, you'll get tomatoes that develop like this. Let me come down here. I saw some just a few minutes ago. I thought I had them spotted just to show y'all. I'll see them in a minute. Let me keep telling you about it. Blossom end rot can happen at any stages of a tomato's development. They can happen on green tomatoes, or when it's nice and ripe and red and looks like it's ready to pick. You'll move it around a little bit and suddenly you'll see blossom end rot. Like I say, it's due to lack of water, lack of calcium. You can treat it with calcium chloride. After the plants are growing and you see it, you can spray with calcium chloride. That will help solve the problem. The only problem with calcium chloride is it's poisonous, and you can't spray it anywhere near when you're going to be harvesting. The best solution for blossom end rot is to prevent it from happening to begin with. And the way you do that is proper soil preparation. Like I said, it's lack of water and lack of calcium is what causes it. Now, what causes lack of water and lack of calcium? Well, obviously lack of water is caused because it doesn't rain enough or you don't water enough. But even if you water enough, if you don't have good calcium uptake, you will still get blossom end rot. Starting before you ever plant, highly acidic soil does not have much calcium in it. Highly acidic soil will cause blossom end rot. So you can get a soil sample, take it to your local extension office, and for various amounts of money. I think here where I live in Pickens County, Georgia, I think they charge about $7 or $8. They'll analyze your soil for you. I've got highly acidic soil. The solution to that is when you're preparing your bed, add lime. Lime your soil real good, and you will help prevent blossom end rot. Another thing that will cause lack of calcium uptake is when your plants are small and you're trying to keep the weeds out. See, when they get big, they shade out all the weeds from growing. You look down there and you don't see any weeds. And we didn't do any weeding. Well, that's because the plants shade out the weeds. That's one of the purposes of doing small space or square foot gardening. But when the plants are small and you start weeding, if you disturb the root system, the small fine roots, you're disturbing calcium uptake. You're disturbing all the nutrient uptake. But because of the calcium uptake not happening like it should, you're going to get blossom end rot. And so you need to be real careful about cultivating around small, immature plants. Hardening off plants too hard will also cause it. Roots will be tough, and you won't be able to get your calcium through your root system, even though you have a developed root system. Now, I have found the tomatoes that I wanted to show you. As I said, blossom end rot can happen on tomatoes that are starting to ripen or on tomatoes that are totally green. What I found is these. When the top of the tomato where it attaches looks fine, and when they're hanging down like this, they'll look fine. But when you turn them up on the bottom, this is what you see. When the tomato's looking real good until you get to the bottom, it might be just a spot on the bottom, might be as much as a third or even a halfway up. And it can happen when they're green. It can happen when they look fully ripe. That is a lack of water and calcium. Lime your soil. Don't cultivate your plants when they're young, trying to keep the weeds out. Don't cultivate close around the plants at all. Stay away from the root system. If you've prepared your soil right, if you've tilled it, if you're planting your plants into fluffy, well-tilled soil, you don't need to cultivate like with a tool. You can grab a weed and pull it out and it'll come right out because the soil's so loose. Then, well-limed soil, watered properly, not cultivated, not over-cultivated, and not planting plants that have been hardened off too much will give you tomatoes that come out looking like this before they ripen instead of like this. Now, one thing about blossom end rot, it is considered a disease. It is not a disease that is transferable from bed to bed, from plant to plant, from year to year. It's not an infection. It's not a fungus. It's not a bad bacteria. It is simply the tomato not getting the proper amount of water and calcium. So if it's showing up on one plant but not on the one next to it, the dirt under the plant was not properly prepared. Prepare your plants and you won't have a problem. And my suggestion is, if you do get blossom end rot, don't use calcium chloride. Because, like I said earlier, it is poisonous. And if you use it too close to when you harvest, all you're going to do is give your family poisonous food. Take it as a lesson, and the next year, do a better job of preparing the bed. I hope this video has been educational. That's why I do these. I'm not a professional videographer, as you can tell, but hopefully I can help y'all with your homesteading type issues. So this one's on blossom end rot on tomatoes. Other videos cover other subjects. Look around the channel, subscribe, like this video if it's done you any good, comment if you have any comments, subscribe to the channel, and come back and see us often. Have a great day and a blessed day.